family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. 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 I'm not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. 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 I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I am not my race. My soul inside is all light. All light. Oh, light. Yeah. Oh, light. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. Yeah. I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light.
Good morning and welcome to our final quality and the virtue we're going to explore with the quality of happiness. I almost forgot. Will be cheerful. Good morning, Sister Ashika. How are you?
Good, thank you, Shaban. And yourself today?
Good, good, good. So, when I was thinking of this virtue of being cheerful, it's very much connected to when we go and visit somebody who is unwell, and we use this word cheer them up. Like kind of, in a sense, situations are not so good, could be quite drastic, but let's make good of it and cheer the person up. And so I'd like to kind of work with that quality in the sense that we're not looking at that which is perfect externally and that everything is going my way. But what can I do in terms of my own way of functioning and from where I'm tapping in, that I can actually know what's happening, I can acknowledge what's happening, but I don't use that to affect the way I'm actually functioning. And for me, that's a very clear sign that there's happiness there. There's a state of being completely blissful without any, how can I say, limitations. So when only I can actually experience feeling great under circumstances that are not good, then I know that it's a real, it is coming from a source that is not going to be limited in any way. And I thought that's really something we need, especially in these times, because we can't really depend on anything outside.
So, if we had to look at this the way you're sharing, and I want to go back to bliss, this quality of bliss itself. It seems to be a very a word that encompasses so many aspects. But if we had to like sort of break it down for the self, it doesn't seem anything external. It's such an internal sense of stability that one has, you know. And sometimes you see people who are constantly throughout life, they would just smile as if they have this inner thing that's happening, no matter what's happening on the outside world. And many of us maybe get distracted by it. It's like, I mean, you should be sad right now, but you're still smiling because it's an external expression of something that's internally very stable. And if you can share with us more on bliss and then extrapolate again where you're saying that cheerful, you know, and I like this idea that we use the word, but we don't understand it. We don't normally say, oh, this one's cheerful because it's an external expression, but we go to cheer up somebody. And it's this word up that I'm focusing on because it's a sort of to move ourselves away from something that's weighing ourselves down. And it's sort of like a balloon is coming to mind, you know, like we always take balloons, whether it's the birthday or whether it's somebody in hospital, get well soon. We do the balloon, and it's sort of really pointing towards lightness and something that's moving upward.
Mm. So, there's a wonderful saying that goes that wars begin in the minds of man, so does peace. And so we have with ourselves perhaps the most amazing abilities is to actually think. And beyond the thinking, there's one more thing, which is insight. And so the thinking we kind of like, we consciously are starting to work with, right? I don't know, we'll explore that a little later. But there's another thing is that beyond even the thing is that we see something and we get a deep kind of, like we get a picture. And that picture comes from the fact that I give myself time to like we finish the whole knowing part. And so when we understand something, the person will say, I see. So the knowing brings a kind of sight, which is actually very beautiful. And that's the sight I want to talk about, which is called insight. And this insight is really very beautiful because it allows me, and they say that a picture speaks 1,000 words. So I don't actually even have to be cluttered in my mind thinking too many thoughts, because when I have the picture, when I can see it and I'm seeing it with my understanding in a whole way, then that image that I have can actually support me a great deal. And I know that previously when we were talking about, I was sharing that idea that if I want to concentrate, I can stand on my one leg, but as long as I'm holding my vision on something stable and it's a steady point. So the whole idea of the sight, but more important, the insight, is that when my understanding is completely clear and I can see where it is I want to go. So in our song today is I am the light. When I can hold that vision of myself being light. So even if we all imagine for a few moments the light, do you see shadow anywhere? When you visualize light, you just seeing a radiance. There is like a whole kind of illumination that's happening, something that's life-giving, something that's energizing. And so when I'm putting the light onto something where there was confusion or distress or misunderstanding, it actually gets dissolved. And so that's why insight is so beautiful, because when I go into a setup where somebody is very unwell and I look at them physically lying there and I think to myself, shame, this is really quite a bad setup. But if I've known the person and I understand that, all their lives they've been so busy running around, caring for other people, and when I can see them, even though it's an enforced kind of rest that is coming on, the beautiful thing is that as long as we can stop, whether we physically put to sit or actually if we choose to do it ourselves. And I want to also just give you another example of, the whole idea of when somebody committed a crime or something, they took them out of normal society and they separated them. Now we've got things like prisons and jails and all of it. But the aim of that, separating people into a space where they had no distractions, was for them to be thinking quietly and reflecting and seeing where they went wrong so they could actually correct themselves. And so for me, if I can have a deeper understanding on what life is actually offering me, the person who's then lying in bed is actually having time to be with themselves, something which can be a very beautiful gift to actually change and reset the way we're living our lives. And so even like a death in a family where I lose somebody who's very close to me, but perhaps in my life I've lived under the shadow of this person because they've been so bright and beautiful that I lost myself. So in this situation, it may be very challenging for me to lose the light of my life. But when they leave, the light in me actually has an opportunity to shine. So that's the kind of insight I'm talking about, where we can understand a little bit more deeply about the very purpose of making sure that who I am is not compromised, who I am is not diminished in any way. And what I understand is that if I am the light, and if I can be that light, then if somebody else is in any dilemma, then just by being that light, it can actually put some light or guide their path as well. And so there's so much benefit in me stepping into my own power and being myself. And that actually will not only be good for me, but it will gently give others permission to be themselves as well. So imagine when I go and visit somebody who's sick and I look at them and I get so depressed, that person will think I'm trying my best to recover and be good, and this guy is making me so depressed. So it's that very much thing, to have a deeper understanding of where I need to, what my foundation should be. And so the insight that I like that for me, when we learn to meditate, is we really start looking at that crucial wisdom that allows me to function beyond the limitations of the external. And when I can hold that vision for myself, because I understand it clearly, it will then become the way in which I begin to function. When you think about our the element we're going to be talking about, which is really a subtle element of the mind, it has one very beautiful faculty besides thinking. It imagines. And so when we begin to use that power to imagine, it's like where the visionary comes in. And people who are visionaries, their world just doesn't have any limits. Everything is possible for them. And I think it's something that children do a lot. They have that potential to go beyond all the limitations and live in their world. We might call it dreaming. But because they're not hung up by the logics of the world, they still have that innocence and that beauty to go beyond. Lots of things can happen. And they also definitely have an energy that attracts. So when you think about cheerfulness, it also is an energy that makes you feel nice. You want to be close to that individual who is cheerful. So yeah, those are some of the thoughts in terms of knowing that it is really an image, a visionary aspect of myself. And when I hold that powerfully, it really can propel me in the direction I want to go.
So just listening, there was just a few things that sort of like became very concrete in the mind. And it's a very, I think, a determining place for us to understand the link between that and staying grounded in the mind and very staying grounded on this earth. So the being stays grounded in the mind will be cheerful. And so, first, just to maybe just bring our attention to the fact that, when we're operating, we moved from a very physical element based, where matter actually exists, and we moved ourselves into a metaphysical space. So it still exists, but it's beyond the sight of these eyes. Because the wavelength at which it is vibrating at is not visible through these physical eyes, but it is visible through this inner eye that we have. And we spoke of the intellect yesterday, so I want to draw it in with the mind, because they sort of work with sort of a grounding space. So one was where we moved ourselves from being just looking at life from a very, to say as if our eyes were looking downward and moving our eyes upward. And suddenly there's a new space and a new atmosphere created. And so I can draw from there and pull down into the physical matter. So the mind itself, just if we had to visualize it as the earth of the soul and the spirit, and I'm staying grounded in what we've done now is we've moved our garden away from the physical matter, and we've seen the benefits of things growing there, growing upward, as that now we start growing things from here and seeding them downward again. And this absolute space of silence that we constantly speak of, and light, and everyone says be the light, but really for us to understand, it's like driven by being placed in an atmosphere that supports light to be able to radiate. And so I can be that, but if I'm switched onto something else, then my light might be dim or might not shine. And just to give ourselves the permission again to know that, and I liked this visual that you gave, is that, when someone is sick, it can look as if there's a crack in their armor, especially since they might be going at things, but it's not a negative. And someone shared with me yesterday something, and it really brought such a beautiful picture to my mind, was that when there's a crack in anything, it gives light an opportunity to shine through. So that which is hidden, and when you say crack, it's a very physical, hard thing to understand, that when something is light, it's not bound by anything, but we can put a stop to it, to see that crack. And I think this cheerfulness is like when we give somebody or even ourselves especially, an opportunity to know, what, the light is starting to shine through. I can make the crack even bigger, whatever is there, and I will be able to explode onto the scene, so to say.
Yeah, so just wanted to just chip in there, because when you use the word crack, if we think about it, what are we cracking? If I've held myself in a certain position, in a worldly sense, in a material sense, it's just the ego that's breaking down. And so that is very painful, and it can be very uncomfortable. But it's absolutely essential for that to happen, so that absolutely the light that is inside will really find its way out. So we're going to find that no one else is going to make the change inside of me, but I can be inspired by others, but the shift is going to definitely happen to me. So remember, we used those lines earlier as well, that don't feel that, why is this happening to me? But it's for me. And you notice I got like a little bit of red today behind me, sort of purple flowers. It was really for me that we've come like a full circle. So if we go and join the two together, we will get our wheel of colors all together. And for me, the idea is that, isn't it that we started off with the Father, but then we can also become the father too. And so also a powerful journey for us to recognize that when there's challenges that happens, it's promoting us to the next level. And for each one of us, if we don't learn to heal ourselves, can't learn to be compassionate. We can really grow in a compassionate way until we can feel the things other people have felt as well. And so it's very, very beautiful in a sense for us to embrace our challenges. And when we go in through the challenges, we can keep our spirit in that form that whatever is happening will be beneficial. And that's only when I go through it. And then when I turn around and I look back at the situation, I can understand. I can even go through all the images and all of it, but the pain will be not there at all. Because I remember once Daddy Janki, who was our administrative head until last year March, she used to say that, I don't know what it feels like to have sorrow. And I used to think, how is it possible? Because I know stories in her life which she shared, which really were like difficult things in her life. And she knows that she can share those stories, but she can't remember what it felt like anymore. And I feel that that's really what the whole journey to being happy and blissful is that I'm not minus the reality of what the world knows, and but it doesn't give me that feeling where I'm trapped in it. So I give you one example. When you touch paper that's brand new, and your hand just slides, you get like a slight, like a sting, because that paper just slits you. And then somebody comes next to you and kind of sticks their elbow in the side, and you get another pain. So your thought goes from the finger to the side. And then somebody comes and just kicks you in the shin. And the next minute, all your attention is in your shin. And then somebody in their beautiful high heels comes and stands on your little toe. And the pain is quite amazing. And then your attention goes there. And then somebody comes and they start screaming to tell you the neighbor's house is on fire. Now, with the sting in your finger, the hit in your side, the knock on your shin, the pinch or the pain of the toe, you leave all of that and you run outside to see if you can help somebody. Now, what I find so amazing about that is that each of those pains you acknowledge, they may still be there, but you understand what you need to do. And you can actually go forward without carrying that feeling of, can somebody help me? And go into that state where you can go and support whoever is in a kind of a danger. So this just shows us our abilities. If we want to retain our emotions or thinking in whatever we deem to be our misfortune or whatever, we can remain there. But if we can actually see that with all that pain, with all of that, I'm still walking, I'm still moving, and I can go and bring somebody out of the fire. That's the kind of stuff that is not where we're living in the clouds and we kind of like escaped from reality. But it's just that we're learning how to shift our energy and apply it so that actually it feeds me and it actually serves others as well.
So the space that we're in with this inner sight that we have of the self, I think it just allows us, like you say, to shine that light onto things that have happened, because it's a very, the mind, though may be stable at times, many a time we refer to as a monkey mind, so it jumps around and can take us from one place to the other. And we'll go into that because that is the focus of stillness that we ask for. It's not a stagnant place, where things can gather and stay stuck, but it's a fluid space where when it moves, it shifts the attention, like you say. And I like that physical example that's given. If we take it back to the very sense of ourselves as a mind, what pushes us to go beyond that which is drawing my attention at that point in time, because there's a higher need. And I think every single one of us always will move towards the highest need at that point in time. And I think these cracks that come along are only based because of the efforts that I've been making on the other things. Because something, if I leave it, is if I don't pay attention to something, then it will die. I don't feed it. I don't give it attention. It has to have a death. But even in that death, for want of understanding it, if we don't water the plant, for example, it will die. It will become dry, and the ground will crack. And for us just to know that even in the emotional state of being that we might find ourselves, and just drawing it into the states that we are in life, that when we see them, is not to ignore them, because there's an opportunity to water them from a different space and create a shift in the self. So, I mean, really, we asked everyone to bring a spade of trust into this 21-day challenge. And I think it took a level of bringing our own spade also, obviously, as well into this, but really to dig and understand that here I am now. And in this region that I am, using the trust that I have the ability to do this. I have that. It's not as if it's suddenly going to, someone's going to bring it to me. And maybe today is just an understanding that we reigniting for each other the space to come into again and be blissful. And because we're saying blissful is the inner state of being in which I work from. So drawing that and pulling into the beyond again in silence, you can just share with us just on silence itself. And we move from peace, where we say that it's a space where we come to, we always associate peace with silence. And just it feels as if between these three realms of peace, our truth, and now when we're coming into bliss, it draws in this cheerfulness, because there's a knowing beyond knowing.
And so when you said silence, when you look at somebody being cheerful, it's a whole vibration that they give off from their face and the energy. Mm-hmm. They're not like going into a very noisy state of being. So that's coming when, when they say something is just coming away, it's like found its tone, its positioning, and it's just very beautiful. Even the auto cruise issue we talk about, it's all settled in. So when I think about silence for myself as a soul, all the needs finish. I don't need to be with anyone. I don't need to have anything. The whole idea need to be in a certain place. It's that soul, the being, has become so comfortable with just being itself, that light. So let's use insight today and create the image of the light. Remember something else, when the seed is actually planted, for the seed to grow, it needs to sacrifice itself. So they say for every seed that grows, a seed is sacrificed. So what happens is that the seed expands beyond the casing, the skin that it covers. So silence is not an incubation. It's actually an expansion of wholeness. You come to the most elevated space, and then it rises up to the thing that when you really high up into the atmosphere, there's no sound of the little things that are happening down below. So when I can actually stop using my senses to keep distracting me, I can go really above them, then I'm in the world, but not of the world. And that's the state of stillness that will allow me to still be very functional in the world, but not to be disturbed by it.
Okay. So let us use the rest of our time together just to reflect on that. So giving ourselves some time and permission again, just to gently focus our attention, just stepping within. And as I feel myself settling, I draw my attention inward. I am fully aware that I am not this physical body. I am light. And today, I just explore this as I set myself on the stage. I observe my true being, a point of light. And I experience myself once again there's a state of being so quiet, so still. And in this stillness, it's as if I have a view of everything. My vision is clear. My vision is unlimited. I have this inner sight, not only to myself, but to every other being. And a deep recognition of this allows me to plant new seeds. And today I choose the one of cheerfulness. As I plant this, not into the physical earth, but into the earth of my mind, I observe how things which do not serve me break and fall away, recycled in this environment to provide pure fertilizer. And the seed grows. And as it germinates, I notice its movement. While those standing way above, this is growing downward into my very being and blooming into my face, into my body, and I see my expression changing. Irrespective of what's happening, I have an inner state of being stable, and in this balanced state, love and joy merge, and I am blissful. A smile radiates, a smile not physical only, but a smile from the eyes, a sparkle that ignites once again trust in myself and trust in others. Holding this vision, I step into my day, light and easy, and float through each situation, knowing I have this inner sight. to make a change. Om Shanti. Thank you.
This a state of being constantly cheerful. Today I use my inner sight to see beyond that which is overt, obvious, or logical and logical. This insight of my true being of light makes me cheerful. I can see without looking. I can recognize because I know I am in the light, even with darkness all around. So beautiful. Let's pick on the color purple today and let's make sure that we take time today to connect to that light and allow ourselves to keep the vision on that light as we go through our day, pausing now and then and allowing the light to shine through. So have a beautiful day and see you tomorrow. We're really nearly at our end, hey?
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Take care.